Today we'll talk about mask, mask RCNN. So previously we already finished the backbone. So this backbone, and for the backbone, it's only encoder without decoder. Okay. And this backbone is for feature extraction, and the purpose can apply to classification. And next one is that for the multitask, we hope the input is the entire image, and then we try to detect the bounding box and do the classification. Okay, that's how the first one is the faster RCNN. So last lecture, 2 weeks ago, we talked about faster RCNNs. So that's in year 2015. And the authors are very famous. And those authors are very famous. And 2 years later, in year 2017, okay, almost the same author, they improve the faster RCNN to mask RCNN. And mask RCNN is a segmentation. Okay, so we'll talk about mask RCNN. So both faster and mask is a fundamental method for the bounding box detection or the object segmentation. Okay. For this one, I will talk about this one in YOLO V4. So today lecture, first one we'll finish the mask RC, and then we'll focus on YOLO V4. So the beginning all are the same as the faster RC, and then so I skip this one. We'll start from page 30. On page 30. Yeah. So first one, the region RCNN. So this one is they use a computer vision for the object detection, and then based on the object, they do feature extraction, and then for classification and find the bounding box. That's a traditional method, and people keep improving. So faster RCNN is complete the convolutional neural network. Okay, so they do feature extraction and also do classification and bounding box regression. So the loss function has 2 laws. First loss is for the classification, classify classes, and the second is the bounding box. But inside bounding box, be careful. We have the XYWH, the bounding box, the top left side is XY, and the size WH is bounding box. Also, they have one confidence value. The confidence value is make sure the inside the object inside the bounding box is foreground or background. Background is you don't need, and foreground is what you need. So they have the other confidence value here, and confidence value is very similar to the classification, but it's only foreground, background, so 2 classes. And for this class is for each bounding box, they will try to classify to what kind of the object. So this is for classification. And for mask RCN is keep improving faster RCNN. And then include one more term is mask here. Okay. And so we have 3 total laws. We have the bounding box classification. And one more term, this is a mask RCNN, mask loss. And for the bounding box, this region base, or a region base. For the mask, it's kind of a segmentation, segment to foreground or background. So it's a pixel-wise. So for each pixel, they need to, when you do a ground truth, for each pixel, you need to label to be either foreground or background pixel. So that's for mask. Okay, so mask is a pixel-wise segmentation, pixel-wise classification. The other different thing is that for the bounding box, you don't need to do the upsampling. Okay, or you have an upsampling is better, because if you do upsampling, the accuracy will be higher because it's in pixel. But use this one because bounding box is roughly. So sometimes people don't do not do the upsampling. But for the mask, because it is pixel wise, so you need to do the upsampling. So if you do, so upsampling is until right now still a question, a problem we want to solve, because you do encoding, and then you do upsampling, and for the encoding you already lose a lot of information. So how can you recover the low level, low resolution information to the high precision information? That's still a question, and still people still try to solve it. Okay. So for the mask, we need to think about the upsampling. But the other thing, for the upsampling, some people, if you can recover back to the original resolution, that's best. Okay, but sometimes people do upsampling, but they don't recover back to the original pixel size. Why? Because of the computational power problems. It's more parameters to compute. That's the reason. So the same for the mask RCNN, basically improve faster RCNN. So previous are all the same. So here is a faster RCNN. But for mask RCNN, they have more branch, more parameter to here. So what I say is that you have more convolution, more deep, but just a little bit deep, and then you need to do upsampling and do the segmentation. So that's mask RCNN. So the same here, this one, the same is faster RCNN. But for the region proportional network, after alignment, you club here and do convolution and more convolution, but not many, because you don't have enough information here. So they should do one or two convolution and do upsampling, okay, and do the mask. Okay, so this one is the same as this one. So yeah, this is more detailed. So you come here, and you do mask, or do the segmentation for the foreground pixel or background pixel. And this is the other way to say. So the same, because faster RCNN is two stage. One stage is directed from here. It's faster. And the other is a RPN, region proportional network. So region proportional network purpose try to find the bounding box. So after you find the bounding box here, the output of RPN is only bounding box and confidence value. Without feature, they don't have your input has this input has a feature here. But this bounding box, last time we said about faster RCNN. For RPN, the output bounding box is the initial result of this bounding box. Okay, so you have output a bounding box, and if based on the bounding box, you try to get the feature from here, and then normalize to the same size. So each bounding box will normalize to the same size, but it includes the features. And then you have one output from the right hand side. So this is bounding box. The other output from left hand side. So that's a mask here. Okay, and mask bounding box classification all belong to the head network. Okay, so it's two stage. It's two stage. Usually two stage we use RPN. Okay, because RPN is good method and can get a better result. However, people say RPN at this two stage is a little bit slower. So YOLO use one stage without RPN, so it's faster. Okay, but however, YOLO 1, 2, 3, YOLO 1, 2, 3 is faster, but the accuracy compared with others like Retina, okay, the YOLO 1, 2, 3, the accuracy is lower than the Retina, for example. However, YOLO V4 keep improving, so they have a better accuracy and better speed, and we'll talk about that one later. Okay, so for the one stage, one stage is faster, but accuracy is low. So people try to improve the accuracy. But for the two stage, it's the same. Two stage, because they have an RPN, so the accuracy is higher. The speed is low because they combine two network together. But people keep improving. Okay, so two stage, they improve the speed, become faster. For the one stage, people improve the accuracy. Okay, so high accuracy. So both are compete each other. Both are getting better and better. Okay. And here on page 35, this is some conclusions. So we input image here, and we use backbone for feature extraction. And then we have a region proposal. Okay, so this is a two stage. And we do the normalization, use pooling to alignment. Alignment is meaning for the bounding box, you just align to the same size. Okay. Here, be careful. Sometimes there's two methods here. Sometimes people use method. One method, they do alignment using maximum pooling. The other method, they use spatial pyramid, spatial transform network. This is the other paper. For normalization, people sometimes it's easy to use the ROI for the alignment. The other one, people use spatial transform network. Okay. And this network is meaning no matter your input have a rotation, it's like an affine transform. You are scaling, different scale, even different rotation, and then your output will be the same size, and it's an abstract view. Okay, so it's called spatial transform network. So it's kind of affine transform. And finally, we do the object detection or classification, or we use the mask for segmentation. Okay. Now, the other one is be careful about this one. Because when we do the bounding box, remember bounding box is just roughly region. Okay, so you can more deep and extract more information and then do the here. So there's a stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. Down sampling 1. Down sampling. So 1, down sampling 2, down sampling 3. 3, 4. What was 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be 5. Should be 5 here. Okay. Anyway, so if you do bounding box, it's fine. 5 stage is fine. But some people think about for the segmentation, they don't want to. I mean, they don't want to lose to the resolution, because later on they want to do the upsampling. So sometimes the downsampling only 4 stages. That's what they talk about. So they don't do one more downsampling here. They don't do that. So be careful. Oh, here, sorry, here, no, this straight. So 1, 2, this 2. So in the beginning, they something decompose a lot, decompose 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 here. Okay. The next one, page 36, is here. Stage. What they try to say is for the mask. Sometimes for the mask, sometimes they do more deep. Some people not so deep. They just show you can more deeper or not so deep. It's fine. Okay. And here, before we talk about faster RCNN, they have a lateral connection. We have downsampling, button to top, downsampling and upsampling. Downsampling connection with downsampling connection. Upsampling feature premium network. Upsampling connection. The third connection we call the lateral connection. Basically, is from the connection from the sideway. So this is a more detailed information convert to here. And this upsampling, so combined together, they call lateral connection. So we have downsampling connection, upsampling connection, and one more is shortcut. Shortcut is a lateral connection here. So basically, 3 kind of connection for what? For encoder, decoder. Okay, so for the feature premium network combined with the encoder. So this is the encoder, this is decoder. Connection shortcut is a lateral connection. This we try to say is that, see, for the lateral connection, here has some process. Okay, and this is simply this is upsampling, but there's some process here. So sometimes people modify the convolution here. There are some different methods. So for the shortcut here, people try to modify this kind of connection here, include different kind of process here. Okay. Let me check. Oh, this one, I just finished this one. Oh, this one is we try to say is end to end. Now, some paper say they are end to end. What's the end to end is meaning you don't need to, when you are user, you don't need to care about the inside what's going on inside the network. You just got a network and training and got use your data and do the training, and you got to output and do a test and got to output. Sorry, for a training you compare with your ground truth. For a test, just input output. That's end to end. And here try to tell you is maxima pooling. Maxima pooling is cannot do the derivative. So people here use the ST, spatial transform network, instead of maxima pooling, because spatial transform network is also a network. They can do derivative. Okay, so use STN instead of maxima pooling. For what? For the alignment here. So some people changed it this one. But actually, end-to-end is good. Yeah, it's good. But probably you don't need to care too much about whether it's end-to-end or not. And I mean, at our current stage. Okay. This page is try to say is the same. The same is sometimes we use bounding box here, right? To bounding box. And here's each one has downsampling. Okay. But when you include a mask, here we don't do downsampling. Just be careful. After output convolution 4 stage to 5 stage, we don't do the downsampling. Just be careful. Okay. And page 39 is more detailed about the mask RCNN, but exactly the same as faster RCNN. Exactly the same, except they have one more output is for mask. So here the same. Okay, but difference only have here. We have a mask. And we talk about this one very soon. So the same. We input this one, and then we know based on the shortest side and normalize. No matter what kind of image size, they normalize to the shortest side will be 600 pixels. It's big, and they do the backbone. Okay. However, they only have 4 stages. They ignore the number 5 stage. Okay, so they ignore here. But this is for the mask. For the first RCNN, they will include here. But for the mask, because they want to keep, because it's pixel-wise. It's pixel-wise. So until here, they just use convolution up to 4 stage here. So the image size here is a 60 by 40. They feel 32 by 19 is too small. Okay, that's their experience. So they only use 4 stages. So after 4 stages, for each pixel, it's grid, which we call grid, right? It's after. So we have grid 60 by 40. And then for each grid, okay, it's a feature. And we'll apply the feature, this information for our process. Back to the first RCNN, the same, because right now the GPU is more powerful. So probably you don't need to use the stage 5. Sorry, I'm totally wrong. Sometimes people don't use, it's not nothing about powerful. Sometimes people don't use stage 4 because they feel stage 4, it's stage 5, they feel stage 4 is enough. So they stop here. So it's up to you. Okay, but my experience is actually if you use stage 5, it's better. It's better. Okay, but here, do you want to use downsampling? Probably not. Okay, but sometimes if you do downsampling and keep this one, the performance is better than only 4 stage. It's my experience. Okay, and here's the same as this RPN, region proportional network. You try to roughly initially detect the bounding box. And what I said, important thing is the anchor, right? We have an anchor here. The anchor, we say we have 3 stages, 3 different kind of scaling. And for each scale, we have 3 ratio. It's 1 to 1, 2 to 1 here, and 1 to 2. So we have 3 ratios for the bounding box. So total has 9 for each grid. It's for each grid, we have a 9, 3 by 3, 9 anchors. Okay, that's region proportional network. And for each anchor, you just try to identify there's a bounding box. Okay, useful, this one. So if they have an object inside, okay, and the confidence will be higher. If there's no object inside the bounding box, the confidence will be lower. So be careful of this one. So this is exactly the same as faster RCNN. And for any bounding box, we will use non-maximal separation. So we talk about this one previously. This one. Okay. So here's this is loss function for bounding box, because bounding box is continue. So for the bounding box regression, they use a smooth L1. This one, smooth L1. Okay, so we already talked about this. Important. Many paper talk about the bounding box or use smooth L1. Okay, and this important for the region proposal. Important here. The denominator term have a 1 term for the normalization. This is important. For the bounding box regression, the x, y, w, h, they have a denominator term, and this term actually is the anchor size. So they will normalize. After divided by this one, the ratio will be the same. So they normalize to be the same unit. And no matter it's a bigger bounding box or smaller bounding box, they divided by anchor width, anchor height. The anchor width and anchor height. Okay, that's the normalization process. And here we talk about mask. Be careful is that original in page 34, right? This original faster RCNN, so the same as the faster RC. Sorry, this is faster RC and then include classification and bounding box. Mask is have an additional connection here, and this is pixel wise. Okay. So previous we talked about anything the same as a faster, and then we have an additional loss function. It's a mask here. So we talk about the mask. So the same as here. So this output can go to the bounding box. The same output can come here, okay, and become mask. And mask, remember, mask is pixel wise. So for each pixel, you want to classify to be foreground or background pixel. Right? So there are two issues here. One issue is that when you do the downsampling, no matter you start to stage 4, C4 or C5, this image for image resolution is small. Like this image resolution is 60 by 40. It's already very small. So it's better is that when you do the mask, okay, you should do upsampling. So they do upsampling here. And the better way is that upsampling to the same resolution as the input size, image size. That's better. Okay, but because you do upsampling if you downsampling 5, you need to do upsampling to 5. Okay, and then they will include more parameters. But right now it's okay because right now GPU is powerful. But the older time, like this one is the year 2017. This actually just 4 or 5 years ago. But at that time, the GPU is not so powerful. So they don't do upsampling to the original image size. Probably they just upsampling 4 times. Okay. So based on this upsampling, we do the pixel-wise classification. But this one is easy. So we see a total loss. So the total loss, this is the first one is classification for each bounding box location. So first one and first two is for bounding box. The third one is mask. And mask because it's a classification for each pixel to be foreground or background. So they use the cross entropy here. Okay. And the Y here, this is ground truth. Okay. And this is estimation. So if it's a foreground pixel, there'll be 1. And this one, 1 minus 1 minus 0, and background is 0, so this is 1 minus 0, so become 1. So they will count the foreground, also count the background. Okay, so that's a mask RCNN. And this is just RPM. We already finished this one. Right. Okay, in page 46. So here we talk about the total, sorry. Here we talk about total loss is 3. Okay. But when you do the let me check. Okay. When you do the total loss, if you use RPN, actually there's 2 loss function here. There are 2 more loss function here. Okay. So your previous here. Okay. Sorry. Previous here in pages 44, we have 3 total output. The input output with 3 total loss. However, when we use the RPN here, there are 2 more loss because RPN is for bounding box and use the anchor. Okay, so we have a foreground, background. So it's a cross entropy. We have a regression. So we have a regression loss function. So the total loss will be first one. This one R1 region proposal. R1, R2. Okay, and for the final output refinement, we have a bounding box. Okay, with a classification, we have mask. So total have 5. But the 2 is for region proposal network. Okay, so this region proposal network. And for this 3 is the total output. So how do you train? How do you train this one? I don't know whether I write this one. Okay. So for the training is important. For this kind of training is important. So we have 2 kind of training. 2 kind of training. One is that you train this one first individually. You train this one first and fix the parameters. And you based on this, so just plug in and fix the don't change the parameters. And you train the entire network. And you just adjust the other 3 loss function. So this is the first method to do. Okay. The second method is you train this one. After you train this one, and then that will be your initial result of both. And then you do the total loss, include 5 loss for the training. Okay, but both region proposal network, the parameter will keep improving. Okay, so the 2 methods, one is fixed, the other is just to have an initial result. You have initial result, and then you train and keep improving this one. And which one is better? Okay, the second one is better, but your training time will be longer. Okay, but sometimes it's not easy to convergence. It's not easy to convergent, sorry, converse. So be careful because you have 5 loss instead of only 3 loss. Okay. So for the inference, and anything is the same as a fast RC, and then except we have one more stage, one more output here. So we double check. So you have input data. So suppose your original input data is this one. So this is your resolution. And you normalize. In this case, not all the case, in mask RC, and then they normalize the shorter side to be 600. So after normalization and input to the backbone, okay, and backbone for the extraction. And after you do the extraction, the image size become, last one, 60 by 40. But here is only stage 1, 2, 3, 4, only 4 stages. But currently you can use 5 stages, it's fine, because I say the GPU is more powerful. So suppose your input, the output will be this one. And for each one, we call grid, G-R-I-D. We call grid. Okay. And for the grid, we use a region proportional network. Try to initially dictate the bounding, whether it's the object or no object. It's a bounding box. Okay. And for each bounding box, you do a confidence, the foreground confidence or background confidence. Okay. So this is a classification for the foreground and background based on each region. So after you do that, okay, because there are many candidates for each target, so we need to use non-maximal separation. We need to use non-maximal separation to delete many overlap region. Okay, when you delete it and just keep the last one. So we already talk about non-maximal separation. But non-maximal separation is very important. Okay, there are different methods of non-maximal separation. Okay, so you can pay attention on that one. And after this one, because there's a region proposal, so we have ROI. And we need to do alignment to be the same size. Okay, the same size. So even though the bounding box size difference, we normalize to the same size. Okay. Now here, just for example, suppose the size is 7 by 7. Okay, so this when step 3 up to here is a region proposal network, and then normalize. And after this one, after this bounding box, remember region proposal network. Okay, the output is just bounding box without texture. So you need to go back to you need to come here. This is just a position for a XYWH. So you need to come back here to get the information and for the final classification or final refinement. Okay. So this is only bounding box and features here. So you grab the information to here, do the region regression and classification. It's here. And sort of refinement. Okay, that's it for the region proposal, for the bounding box. And keep going is a mask, right? So we have mask. So mask is try to, for the segment is foreground pixel, background pixel, compare with your ground truth. So here's the mask. So output will be mask. So for the mask RCNN, the important thing is your ground truth. You need to have a tool. Like MIT, they have create a tool. You need to have a tool, and the tool will help you to do the mask manually to do that. Okay. And this is just the same example for the inference. Just for region proposal, you got a result. However, you have many overlap. Based on the target, you have many overlap. Okay, and then you do the fine tune. But actually, in region proposal network, you already did some non-maximal separation. You can do that. You already did some maximal separation. Did some of overlap bounding box. And finally, the last one is after you have a after the output, you do refinement and do the non-maximal separation. Okay, and you do the mask. You get a result. So that's it for the. I check the time. Okay. That's it for the mask RCNN. And next one we can just check some result. There's some some result. You can see by yourself, and the result is pretty good. Okay, so first RCNN actually is good. Mask RCN is also good. Okay, and after that we'll next hour we will spend 2 more hours talk about YOLO V4. Okay, so we take a break, and then we'll continue. Let's check the time. Okay, so we take a 10 minutes break, and we'll continue to talk about this one. So we continue to talk about YOLO V4. Okay, so we'll come back and start in the 10:05 10:05我们再回来继续讲下一个OK，Thank you. We take a break. Any question you can ask me.